The sky bled crimson. The waves were mountains, and on the lifeboat, Captain Wren made a choice that would damn them all.
Lighten the load. It's him or the whole crew.
Wren, Mateo, how could you?
The water swallowed him, cold, final, absolute. The surface shrank to a pinprick of light. His hand reached upward, but there was nothing left to reach for. Only the deep.
You are not yet finished, child of the surface. The loop calls to you. Take this fruit, break the cycle, or become it.
Time snapped like a dry branch. Hiroto gasped and woke. Sheets twisted, morning sun piercing his eyes.
The betrayal, every face, every word, it all happened. It wasn't a nightmare. It was real, and they would pay.
He had one day before the apocalypse. One day to change everything. He would not waste it. He focused on the clock sigil. A glass tipped, shattered, then time reversed, the shards flying back together. It worked.
So, the loop is real. I can rewind seconds. Enough to avoid a killing blow or to watch them die twice.
The calendar on the wall was a death sentence. One day until the apocalypse. He didn't need to flip the page to know. From the window, he saw them. Wren and Mateo, loading the ship, laughing as if they hadn't sent a man to drown.
Smile while you can. Tomorrow, the sea will take you, and I'll watch with my arms crossed.
He moved through the streets, a phantom with a shopping list. Candles, bandages, water. He warned the ones he could.
Don't go near the shore tomorrow. The tide will be monstrous.
Who was that? His eyes held the storm. Somehow, I believe him.
By dusk, he had caches in 3 high-rise buildings. When the wave hit, he'd be the only one ready.
One day left, then the apocalypse. Then, I'll make them remember the face they drowned.
Hiroto moved through the market, but his eyes tracked one man alone. Mateo. He cornered him in the alley, where the sun didn't reach.
You look haunted, Mateo. Guilt does that.
His eyes. He knows. How can he know? I saw him drown.
Hiroto left him trembling, saying nothing more. A seed of dread had been planted.
Wren, Hiroto, he's alive, and he knows we pushed him.
You are jumping at shadows. Hiroto is at the bottom of the sea.
By nightfall, Hiroto had handed out the last of his warnings. Yuna found him at the dockside.
Thank you. I don't know why you chose to warn me, but I believe the danger is real.
Stay inside tomorrow. Noon is when it starts. Don't look back. The hour approaches. Let them laugh now. When the wave comes, only I will be ready.
The wave didn't roar. It erased sound. A wall of black water swallowed the seawall, the docks, the laughter, everything.
The moment I waited for. Those who believed me will live. Those who didn't, well, the sea is hungry.
Hiroto launched the small rescue boat he'd stashed. He pulled survivors from floating wreckage. Not all, but the ones who'd believed his warning.
You were right. The wave, the destruction. You saved us. Why don't you save them, too?
They're not my concern. Let the sea they trusted decide their fate.
The crew's lifeboat swamped. Wren screamed orders no one could follow. Mateo spotted Hiroto in the distance, not saving them, watching.
His smirk. He planned this. He's leaving us to drown, just like we did to him.
Hours later, the flood receded enough for a camp on high ground. Hiroto stood among the survivors, and all eyes turned to him.
You see now that I spoke truth. But know this, the crew who drowned my body before the wave, they would have fed you to the sea to save themselves.
The crew drifted in the distance, clinging to wreckage. Hiroto's gaze remained ice. Revenge had begun, and mercy was not on the horizon. Morning broke cold over the camp. The survivors weren't grateful. They were angry, hungry, and someone had to blame. A gaunt man with hollow eyes stepped forward. His voice cracked with hate.
Your son drowned because you didn't listen. But fine. blame me. Their hate is nothing compared to what was done to me.
Stop it. He warned us when no one else would. We chose to believe. Blaming him won't bring back the lost, but their pain is real. You could soften. Show them you are not just a cold prophet.
Softness won't feed them. The dead are dead. Focus on the living. That's the only math that matters.
A shout pierced the argument. On the gray horizon, a battered raft drifted. Two figures clung to it. Ren and Mateo.
They're alive. Hiroto, we have boats. You can't just let them drift to their deaths.
I can, and I will. Those boats are for supplies. Their fate was sealed the moment they pushed me into the sea.
Hiroto walked away. But inside, something felt like a clock hand jammed. He didn't look back, but the weight of the stare was impossible to ignore. The tide delivered what Hiroto's mercy would not. Before dawn, Ren and Mateo stumbled into camp, more drowned than alive.
They survived. Good. Now the entire camp will know what they are.
He called the camp together. His voice didn't rise. It cut.
These men shoved me overboard to lighten their lifeboat. They'd sacrifice any of you to save their own skin.
A roar went up from the crowd, not for justice, but for blood.
I won't give you their blood. Let them wander without fire, without shelter. Exile is a slower death.
Ren opened his mouth to explain, to beg, but Hiroto's stare silenced him. The crowd dragged them to the camp's edge and pushed them into the dark. That night, while the camp celebrated, Yuna slipped past the perimeter. She left bread and dried fish at the crew's makeshift shelter.
She thinks I don't see. But her mercy is a mirror I can't face right now.
The camp raised a toast to justice. Hiroto's glass stayed untouched. The clock in his palm pulsed once, an echo with no hour, and went still. The celebration ended with a scream. From the black water, something lunged, scales, teeth, and a hunger that hadn't been fed in centuries.
Another ripple from the apocalypse. I expected this, but not so soon. Everyone, to the high ground. Use what you can. Rocks, spears, fire. Don't let it reach the supplies.
Among the chaos, guards dragged a bound prisoner forward. Mateo, caught trying to steal food. But the beast cared nothing for human grudges.
Of all the useless timing, he'll be dead before I can refuse, unless...
Back to back, they fought. Hiroto's time-sense deflecting tendrils, Mateo's desperate swings driven by a lifetime of guilt.
I never wanted to push you. We were told. Someone else gave the order. Please, Hiroto, you have to believe.
He's lying, he has to be. Guilt makes men invent ghosts, but why does my palm ache?
Hiroto shoved him away without a word. Mateo slumped, exhausted, but his confession hung in the air like a splinter. The camp cheered their victory. But Hiroto heard only the echo of 5 words. Someone else gave the order, and he had no idea who. By dawn, Hiroto had tracked Ren to a collapsed warehouse on the camp's edge. No more running. No more lies.
Mateo said someone gave the order. You are going to tell me who, right now.
It was you, Hiroto, a man with your face, scarred and hollow. He said the only way to survive the wave was to sacrifice you.
A ghostly image seared through Hiroto's mind. A memory that wasn't a memory. His own voice, his own face, delivering the order to the crew on a night before the storm. The scarred figure's words were cold, calculated. Trust my future self. Lose one to save the rest. It's the only math that works.
That was me. I told them to kill me. The revenge, the hatred, all of it, a lie I wrote myself.
We didn't want to, but he said you'd have done the same. I am sorry, Hiroto. I am sorry.
Hiroto didn't answer. The ground beneath him felt like water again, drowning logic, drowning rage. There was no one left to blame. Fragments of a past loop bled into his vision. Himself older, scarred, running the same calculations he'd once called murder. A prisoner of zero-sum math.
What am I supposed to do with this? The loop, it's me. I am the cause and the consequence.
The memories didn't ask permission. They flooded Hiroto's mind, a cascade of loops, each ending in the same cold calculation. In the memory, he stood on the doomed ship, scarred and hollow, watching the nightmare unfold. He knew the lifeboat's weight limit down to the ounce. His future self's voice echoed, cold and final. I am sorry. The math is absolute. The boat can save all but one. That one must be me, the me of this timeline. The crew's faces, pale and shaking, mirrored his own horror. But they obeyed because the scarred man had always been right before.
But if I gave the order, then every loop, every death, I chose this. I chose to become the monster who throws his own past self away.
The realization shattered the barrier between loops. Past echoes of himself appeared, some vengeful, some weeping, all trapped in the same cycle.
How many times have I done this? How many versions of me drowned so a future I could keep calculating?
The clock glow in his palm burned, flickering between timelines. The fruit's power was a curse he had built with his own hands.
The sea spirit said break the cycle or become it. I became it. I've been the cycle all along.
The prison of his own logic collapsed inward, and Hiroto fell to his knees. A scream built from the weight of every drowned self that had come before. The rain washed the last of the scream from his throat. When he lifted his head, the clock glow had dimmed to a threadbare pulse. The fruit's power was dying. One final loop remained, a chance to go back to before the voyage, to never become the scarred man, to erase this timeline and everyone in it. Behind his eyes, Yuna's face flickered, the trust she'd given him, the bread she'd left for the exiles. Mateo's cry echoed. We were told, a voice he might never hear again if he erased this branch. The math of sacrifice had been drilled into him. Lose one, save many. But this time, the equation was different. Loop, and lose everyone he had touched in this broken timeline. Stay, and face the crew as a former tyrant.
Number. The loop made me a monster once. If I run again, I'll never stop running.
His fingers curled around the phantom fruit, and with a force that felt like tearing his own heart out, he crushed it. Light splintered through the rain. The clock glow shattered into 1,000 silent chimes, and then nothing but a pale scar carved into his palm. The power was gone. No more rewind, no more escape. The cycle was broken.
Then let me be the one who faces it. The crew is still out there. A wave is coming. If I am the reason they were sacrificed, I'll be the reason they survive.
He stood, coat dripping, and ran toward the sea. No loop, no second chance. Just one man, and the weight of his own choices. The coast was a jagged wound of broken seawalls and churning black water. In the distance, a raft with two figures. Ren and Mateo rose on a swell as a new wave built behind it.
They're still alive. The power is gone. But I have to try. This is the only math left that matters.
Without breaking stride, Hiroto dove into the maelstrom. The cold slammed the breath from him, but he swam not with time, but against it. As the wave crested, a phantom clock face flickered around Hiroto's palm. The last ember of the loop's power, just enough to shield, to rewind the impact of a single moment. He reached the raft as the world went white. A dome of splintered seconds wrapped around the crew, turning the crushing wall into a glancing blow that threw them toward the shore.
Not enough, but enough for them. They won't drown today.
The shield shattered, and the undertow dragged Hiroto under. His hand, still glowing with the fading sigil, reached once more toward the surface. But there was no rewind this time.
Look, he saved us. Grab him, Mateo. Don't let him sink.
Ren lunged, hooking an arm around Hiroto's coat. Together, he and Mateo hauled the limp body onto the raft as the wave's remnants pushed them onto the rocky beach. On the wet sand, Hiroto lay still, his palm a pale scar, The clock glow was gone, and for the first time in any loop, the crew wept for the man they had once thrown to the sea. The first light of dawn brushed Hiroto's face like a gentler tide. He coughed salt water, and the sound shattered the crew's vigil.
I am still here. The scar is cold. No more second chances, just this.
Hiroto, thank the sea. You are alive, we thought. After everything we did, we didn't deserve to see you draw breath again.
We're sorry for all of it. We should have told you sooner. We never wanted to push you. It was
me. I know. That scarred man, he was a future I became. I told you to throw me overboard to save the rest. My grudge was built on a lie I forgot. You were pawns in a cycle I created. I forgive you.
You forgive us. After we left you to drown. After we celebrated while you suffered. How can you?
Because I chose to break the loop instead of become it. Holding on to hate would only drown me again.
He opened his palm, revealing the pale scar, the echo of a clock with no hands. The loop was done. Ren bowed his head, and Mateo wept without shame. The hatred that had anchored Hiroto washed away with the tide, leaving only the fragile, terrifying possibility of trust. The crew's return to camp was met with a silence heavier than any wave. Survivors stared, confused, as Hiroto walked ahead, scarred palm open.
I owe you the truth. I created the loop. A desperate future me told them to sacrifice me. They were pawns.
He raised his scarred palm. The cycle is broken. No more rewinds. I'll stay in this timeline. I ask you to let them stay too. Yuna pushed through the crowd and wrapped her arms around him. Her wordless embrace spoke louder than any confession. Slowly, tension cracked. An old fisherman nodded. Someone handed Ren a dry blanket. The hatred gave way to weary, wondering hope.
You are the reason we survived. If anyone should lead, it's you.
I am no captain, but I'll help. We'll build something that doesn't depend on sacrifice.
We'll follow you, Hiroto. After everything, you saved us. We'll follow anywhere.
The camp agreed to move inland, to hills where springs and old walls offered a chance. It was a gamble, but after the flood, any gamble felt like a promise.
You were so cold before. I thought you'd become a monster, but this is who you really are.
Days blurred into rebuilding. At dusk, Hiroto walked the shore alone, the sea's whisper pulling him to where the water met the sand. A familiar glow shimmered on the tide, the sea's spirit, her form cracked with light, nearly transparent against the deepening sky.
You chose to break the cycle. You gave up the power to rewrite the past for a single fragile future. That is the heart's answer. The fruit was a test, not a curse. And you, Hiroto, have proven worthy of the time you've been given.
A test. I nearly drowned in my own hate, but I understand now. The loop was never about power. It was about choice.
A crystalline tear fell from her fading eye, landing in his open palm. The scar pulsed once, then settled into a gentle, permanent mark.
Wear it, not as a scar, but as proof that you can change. The sea remembers, and now it will rest.
He returned to the budding settlement where Yuna was planting the first sapling, a fragile bit of green against the salt-ravaged earth.
You look different, lighter. What happened out there?
The past finally let me go. No more loops, no more ghosts. Just this, a future we build with our own hands.
The sea boiled. A serpent of black scale and sickly glow erupted from the deep, towering over the fledgling settlement.
Everyone to the barriers, Ren, Mateo, the harpoons. This isn't a sacrifice. We fight together.
Ren and Mateo flanked him without hesitation. The old crew moved as one, not out of guilt but belief.
No clock, no rewind. Just timing and trust.
Harpoons flew. Hiroto's struck an eye. Ren's the jaw, Mateo's the underbelly. The serpent screamed, thrashing but pinned. A sweeping tail caught Hiroto across the ribs, sending him crashing into a wall. Blood bloomed on his tattered coat.
Hold still. I won't let you bleed out after everything you've survived.
Ren and Mateo kept the serpent's head thrashing, buying time. Hiroto pushed Yuna's hand aside gently, stood, and grabbed another harpoon. The final blow came from 3 angles. Hiroto's harpoon drove into the serpent's remaining eye at the same moment Ren and Mateo struck the skull. The beast dissolved into sea foam and silence. The settlement erupted in cheers. Hiroto, bloody and bandaged, shared a tired grin with Ren and Mateo. Yuna caught his eye and smiled, no words needed, as the celebration roared. Hiroto slipped away to the edge of the camp, where the firelight didn't reach. Yuna followed quietly.
You look like you've carried the weight of the ocean all your life. Is it lighter now?
When they threw me overboard, I was full of fury. I thought revenge would be my only reason to live, but you fed the exiles when I couldn't. You showed me a different math.
I was afraid of your coldness, but I saw the cracks. The real you was fighting to get out.
This scar, I thought it was a curse. Now it's proof that I can change, that we can.
She leaned into him, and he let her. For the first time, his arms weren't holding a weapon or a grudge, just another person.
This is what breaking the cycle feels like. Not just surviving, but living.
So, what's the next equation, Prophet?
Just one. Build a future where no one has to drown to save another, together.
The settlement grew. Wooden walls, a common hall, the smell of baking bread replacing salt and ash. Ren, his captain's hat on a peg, led the fishing crews with a humility he'd never known.
I still see it sometimes. Your face under the water. But now I see this too.
They were no longer a crew of guilt. They were a crew, again, laughing, arguing, rebuilding. Yuna taught the children to read, using salvaged books and driftwood charcoal. The loops were just scars now, faint lines on a palm. And in memory, sometimes Hiroto felt a phantom pull, but it was only the sea, no longer a loop. The sun rose over a town that had learned not to sacrifice its own. Hiroto watched the horizon with a smile that held no vengeance. Yuna slipped her hand into his. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, it was theirs. Months passed. The rebuilt dock stretched into calmer waves. Hiroto stood where the lifeboat once launched.
This is where it began. The push, the drowning, the fruit. Every loop started here.
For a moment, the past flickered. Salt in his lungs, Ren's command, the cold deep. But the echo had no power.
Are you going to throw that old coat away? It's seen more storms than any of us.
I thought about it, but it's proof. The loop is broken. The coat, I think I'll keep it.
Good. I've gotten used to seeing that yellow tag. It means home now.
Home. Not a loop. A place that moves forward.
The scar on his palm was a quiet reminder, not a curse. A clock without hands, a promise kept. The apocalypse had not just destroyed the world. It had shattered the shackles of a mind trapped in sacrifice. And Hiroto, once betrayed and left to drown, had finally returned, not to a day but to a life. A full year passed. The town had a name now, Hoshizora, Starry Shore. Children who'd never known the old world laughed in the streets.
I used to see the sea as a monster. Now I see it as a field we harvest. You changed that, Hiroto.
Every plank we lay feels like an apology I can finally make with my hands, not just words.
Yuna taught the children to read, using salvaged books and driftwood charcoal.
This scar, it means I was wrong once, but it also means I chose to be better.
The sea that once swallowed him now provided for all. Nets came back full, and the whispers of the drowned grew silent. A new ship was being built. Not a lifeboat, but a trader. Its name, the Second Tide. Every morning, Hiroto and Yuna walked the market. People nodded, not in fear, but in trust. On a quiet shore, they built a simple stone for those who couldn't return. Not a grave, but a promise that no one would be sacrificed again. Hiroto smiled. Not a smirk, not a cold mask, but a real smile. The loop was a scar, but the story was just beginning. 2 years later, Hoshizora held its first harvest festival. Lanterns floated up from the dock, each carrying a wish written on salvaged paper.
A long time ago, I'd have wished for revenge. Now, I am not sure what to wish for. Maybe just more quiet mornings like this one.
Then wish for that. Quiet mornings, full nets, a town that doesn't need a hero anymore.
He let the lantern go. It drifted with the others, a small flame on a dark sea, but it didn't sink.
Hey, Hiroto. They're bringing out the grilled fish. Ren says it's the best catch in years. Are you coming?
I'll be there. Save me a plate. And no fishing tails this time, Mateo.
The scar on his palm caught the lantern light, a pale clock without hands, but no one looked at it with fear anymore.
This mark was once a curse. Now, it's just a reminder that I broke it. That we all did.
The sea spirit's tear had dried, but its promise endured. A future chosen, not looped. And the man who had been thrown overboard, who had drowned in fury and resurfaced with a clock in his hand, was finally completely home. Many years later, the dock had weathered a dozen storms. Hiroto's hair held threads of silver, but his eyes still carried the calm of a quiet sea. Yuna joined him, her silver braid now fully white. She slipped her hand into his, the same gesture they'd shared 1,000 times.
The children ask about your scar sometimes. They think it's magic.
It is magic. It's the magic of breaking something that was supposed to repeat forever.
He opened his palm. The clock face scar was nearly invisible now, but he could trace it from memory. Ren's grandson ran past, chasing a kite. The old captain watched from his porch, a smile creasing his weathered face. Mateo kept building. Not just boats, but the town hall, the school, the little things that turned a camp into a home. The memorial stone stood unchanged, waves lapping its base. Flowers and shells rested there, left by those who remembered. Hiroto and Yuna walked the shore as they always did, not needing words. The sea was gentle, as if it too had learned peace, and the loop that had once defined him was now just a story, a bedtime tale of a second chance that became a lifetime. In time, the name Hoshizora was known not for its founder, but for its harvests and its peace. The apocalypse was a scar on history, not a prophecy. Hiroto and Yuna sat on the old dock, his coat long since mended, her braid a river of snow. They watched the tide as they had for decades.
Do you ever miss the loop? Having a second chance in your pocket?
Number. The only second chance I needed was the one I took when I chose to stay. Every day since has been the reward.
He pressed his palm to hers. The scar was just a faint white line now, barely visible, a clock that had stopped counting long ago. The memorial stone by the shore still stood, worn by salt and wind. Fresh flowers were always there, a silent promise that no life would ever be thrown away again. Hiroto looked out at the horizon where the sea met the sky. There were no ghosts there now, only the reflection of a life fully lived. The sun dipped below the water, painting the sky in crimson and gold, the same colors that had once heralded destruction, now simply a beautiful evening. He closed his eyes, the scar a gentle pressure on his palm. The loop had broken. The man had healed, and the sea, at last, was silent. Betrayed and left to drown, he returned with a time loop fruit before the apocalypse. And in the end, he found not revenge, but redemption. Not a loop, but a life.